Hello, Coach Dad here, and welcome to another chess tutorial. And today we're going to go over the clearance sacrifice. Now, I want you to imagine the situation. You have an opportunity to make a big move, a move strong enough that will allow you to either win material or even perhaps checkmate your opponents. But the catch is one of your own pieces is in the way, and taking the time to move it will allow your opponent to either build up a defense and be able to build an initiative back upon you. And you don't want to give your chance for your opponent to make a move. So making a passive move might be too slow in this scenario. So the solution to this is very simple. Sacrifice the piece that you have that's currently in your own way. And this tactic, it really forces your opponent to take the obstructing piece, thereby opening up the square and being able to fight off any defenses your opponent may have. So the question is, how can you force your opponent to capture the piece, even though this action will lead them to their doom or demise? The best way, number one, is to check your opponent's king with the obstructing piece or with the piece that is currently in the way, which forces a response. Remember, once the king is in check, they have to do something about it. And next best way is to capture something with the obstructing piece. And even though if your opponent does not recapture, you've gained material exchange or material advantage. Let's take a look at our example here about a clearance sacrifice. As we can see here, white has a great triple battery coming down the line with all three major pieces, very close to checkmating black's king. However, this rook, even though if it's very powerful on an open file, as we mentioned previously in our past examples on tactics, is kind of in the way. Because what the queen can do is actually simply come here to g7 and be able to checkmate black's king in this scenario. Any other move will be too slow of a move, and we don't want black to be able to have a chance to either create a defense in this scenario. We want them to be able to find a way, to be able to create this nice clearance sacrifice. So a couple of bad moves I'm about to show you. If we simply move the rook out of the way right here, black would then be able to return the favor by exchanging for that rook right there, and then preventing this queen from ever going to g7 to checkmate. So moving the rook out of the way like that, that's probably not the best move. Another response is simply if we decide to move the rook over here to try to open up the queen to come over here to checkmate on g7, black's queen would then be able to take the rook and then create a defense right here on g7. The best move for white in this position right now, again, we said a few things, either by checking the king or by taking or sacrificing for material. Okay, so again, if we check the king, they have to respond. If we take material and if they don't take our clearance sacrifice, then we win in exchange and win like that. So this opportunity right here, we're able to move the rook to h7, checking the king. This king has no other responses, maybe just two. If it captures with the knight, of course, the queen would then be able to come in here, being guarded by the rook down here, and checkmating this king right here. Another response that black can also make as well, again, we call this a clearance sacrifice. We're sacrificing our own obstructing piece, our own clearance, okay? So now we're clearing out the way with sacrificing. Black responds with capturing with this king, and the queen is able to come here for a wonderful checkmate. If you are new to this channel, feel free to set your board up. Anytime you see these numbers on the top right hand side, you'll be able to press the pause button and set up the board and try to visualize the best moves possible in front of you. If not, you'll be able to visualize it right here on the screen and try to solve it along with me. Let's see how many you can get correct. And if you did a very good job, post those results down below. We'd love to see how far you've gotten. In this example, white is the move. Can you find the best move for white? Couple of things that we have to recognize here. Any slow move made by white is going to be a result of our loss. So as you can see here, black is threatening checkmate with queen captures a2, and white has to do something. It cannot make a slow move. It has to make a very aggressive move. As we can see here, the best move for white in this position right now is being able to queen captures g5, and black has to respond to this. Therefore, black only has one response right now. Is knight captures g5 right now, and then being able to move out of the way. The queen was initially at this square on f5 and moved out of its way, so this knight can come here to be able to check the king. Now once this king has to move over here to g6, we then come up here with a nice checkmate. Again, the queen was here blocking the knight from moving to the square to create a checkmate. And of course, the queen sacrificed herself so that way it can open up the way for one of her own pieces to create this nice clearance sacrifice. In this practice example, can you find the best move for white? This is what you need to recognize before we answer this practice example right now. As we can see, if this knight somehow gets to c4, it would then be able to attack the queen, and guess what? This queen is stuck. This queen would then be stuck because it has no safe squares it can run to. Every single square that it decides to run away to, it will be under attack by the bishops, by the knight coming to this square right here. So then the knights would be able to attack here, and of course all pawns would then cover up all his squares. So this queen would not have anywhere to run to. But how would this knight be able to get here and create a forced move? The correct answer in this case is going to be bishop takes f7, sacrificing itself. It doesn't matter what black decides to do, black has to get out of check. So we'll just say that black captures this bishop, and then now we move this knight to c4. Now trapping the queen. This queen has nowhere to go, and in this case we'll be able to win a great material advantage, being able to be up ahead of material and win the queen. But this all is caused by a clearance sacrifice that we needed to move this bishop so that way the knight can get to this square. In this example, can you find the best move for white? If you said queen takes f5, you are correct. What this queen needed to do was get off of this square on e6 to be able to create a nice royal fork, including the queen and the king. Being able to take a knight in this position, even though if black returns and takes this queen, we then be able to play knight to e6, being able to check this king, moving out of the way, and then eventually taking this queen, and just simply down by so much material. Reaching to the end game, black decides to resign in this position. In this practice example, can you find the best move for white? If you said bishop to c7, you are correct, because in any position right now is being guarded by 5 different pieces right now. This is clearly a bad space for the bishop, but guess what? This bishop moving right now is also attacking the queen, but also opens up for this queen to come here to deliver a checkmate. It doesn't matter which piece decides to capture this bishop. Let's just say an example would be if the rook decides to capture his bishop, the queen would be able to come in for a checkmate. Another response that black can do in this case is be able to take this bishop right now, but then rook would be able to take. And then even if the king decides to move here, we can even come back in to deliver a checkmate. As we saw in this particular example right now, is that when this bishop moved here is putting the danger, the threat on black's queen right here in this position. And black has to respond to this, because it doesn't matter even if this queen decides to move away or tries to run away, we can just always come in and deliver a checkmate. And this is a perfect example of a clearance sacrifice. Whenever you're thinking about making a clearance sacrifice, you have to make sure that your opponent has to be forced to move either through a check or by being threatened in material exchange. Understand that a clearance sacrifice creates unusual situations that sometimes defy the chess logic. Normally pieces are valuable and then you go out of your way to either shepherd them or guard them. But playing a clear and sacrifice allows you to boldly move the blocking piece wherever you want it without caring if it's captured or not. You're not concerned about your piece, but you're more concerned about the controlling the square that it stands on. Keep in mind that one of your pieces is in the way of another. Figure out what the block is and then finding a forceful move to clear it out of the way. I hope that you enjoyed this video tutorial about clear and sacrifice. As we move forward in the next couple of videos, we'll be able to keep on practicing and practicing and practicing. And I appreciate you all for coming on and watching this. Again, good luck with your chess. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Yeah, have a great day.